Bunin, Cold Autumn. In June that year he stayed with us in the country. He was always treated like a member of the family. His late father had been a friend and neighbor of my father. On the 15th of June, the Archduke Ferdinand was murdered at Sarajevo. The newspapers from the post office reached us on the 16th. My father came out of his study with the Moscow evening paper in his hand and entered the dining room, where he, my father, my mother, and I were still sitting round the tea table. When my friends war, the Austrian Archduke has been murdered at Sarajevo. That means war. Many guests came over to visit us that day. It was my father's name day. After dinner, our engagement was announced. But on the 19th of July, Germany declared war on Russia. In September, he came to stay with us for 24 hours to say goodbye before he left for the front. Everyone thought then that the war would soon be over, and our marriage was postponed till the spring. Thus, our farewell evening came. After supper, the samovar was brought as usual, and looking at the window, clouded from its steam, my father said, "What an astonishingly early and cold autumn." That evening we sat quietly, only occasionally exchanging a few insignificant words, concealing with exaggerated calm our secret thoughts and feelings. Father also made his remark about the autumn with feigned simplicity. I went up to the balcony door and wiped the glass with my handkerchief. In the garden the pure icy stars glittered clearly and sharply against the bleak sky. My father smoked, sitting back in his chair, staring absent-mindedly, and the hot lamp hanging over the table. Mamma, with her glasses on, was carefully sewing under its light a little silk purse. We knew what it was for, and all that was touching and rather weird. My father asked, "So, you still want to leave in the morning and not after lunch?" "Yes, if I may, in the morning," he answered. "It's a great pity, but I haven't yet arranged all my household affairs." My father breathed a light sigh. "Well, as you wish, my dear, but in this case, it's time for Mamma and me to go to sleep. We are determined to see you off tomorrow morning." Mamma stood up and made the sign of the cross over her future son. He bowed low over her hand and then over my father's. Left alone, we stayed a little longer in the dining room. I opened a pack of passion cards. He walked in silence from one corner to another. Then he asked, "If you like, we will go out for a short walk." I felt more and more sick at heart and answered in an indifferent tone, "All right." Putting on his coat in the hall, he was wrapped in thoughts. With a charming smile, he recalled Fed's verse. "What a cold autumn day! Put on your shawl and your cloak." "We have no cloaks," I said. "How does it go on? Ever get something like this? Look through the dining pine trees. It seems a fire is rising." "What kind of the fire?" "The rising moon, of course. There is a cozy rustic autumn charm above those lines. Put on your shawl and your cloak. The days of our grandparents." My God, what's the matter?" "Nothing, my dear friend. All the same, it is sad but good. I love you very, very much." We went through the dining room to the balcony and from there into the garden. At first, it was so pitch dark that I clung to his sleeve. Then gradually the black branches began to show up against the lighter sky, sprinkled with metallic glittering stars. He stopped and turned to look at the house. Look how the windows are lit up. So peculiarly autumn-like. As long as I live, I shall never forget this evening. I looked back and he embraced me in my Swiss overcoat. I drew a fluffy kerchief away from my face and bent my head slightly sideways so that he could kiss me. Kissing me, he looked in my face. How your eyes are shining, he said. Aren't you cold? The air is quite wintry. If they kill me, will you really not forget me straight away? I thought, but what if they really kill him? And how could I possibly ever forget him? Can it be that at the end everything is forgotten? And I hastily answered, frightened by my own thoughts. Don't say such things. I could live without you. I couldn't live without you. He paused and then said, well, if they kill me, I shall wait for you there. You should leave, find joy on earth, then come to me. I burst into bitter tears. Early next morning, he went away. Mama put round his neck that faithful little bag which she was sewing that evening. It contained a little golden image which her father and grandfather had worn in previous wars, and with a kind of convulsive excitedly we all made the sign of the cross over him. Following him with our eyes, we stood in the porch in the numbered state which often comes over you when you part with someone for a long time, when you feel only the glaring disharmony between yourself and that joyful sunny morning with gleaming dewdrops on the grass around you. After waiting a little, we went back into the deserted house. I walked through the rooms with my hand grasped behind my back, not knowing what to do with myself, wondering whether to weep or to start singing at the top of my voice. He was killed. What a strange word. Within a month. And since that 30 years have passed, and how many things I have lived through in those years which seem so long when you consider them attentively, and sift in your memory all that enchantment, all those incomprehensible details which neither mind nor head can grasp and which are called the past. In the spring of 1918, when both father and mother were dead, I was living in Moscow in a basement belonging to a merchant woman in the Smolensk market. She was always making fun of me. Well, your highness, how is your business gotten on? I too was in commerce, sailing, as many did then, 2 soldiers in few hats and unbuttoned overcoats, a few things from what little remained with me, some odd rings, a little crucifix, or a fur collar eaten by moth. And it was there, while I was selling in the corner of the Arbat market, that I met a rare person with a noble mind, a middle-aged ex-officer. A little later I married him and we went away to April to Yekaterinodar. The journey took nearly 2 weeks. His nephew traveled with us, a boy of 17 who was also trying to join the volunteer army. I was dressed like a peasant woman in plaited shoes, he in a torn Cossack peasant coat with a neglected black beard flecked with grey. And we spent more then 2 years in the Dawn Country and the Cuban. One winter, in a howling gale, we sailed from Novorossiysk to Turkey with an innumerable crowd of refugees, and during the sea journey my husband died of typhus. After that, there only remained in the whole world 3 people who were near to me: my husband's nephew, his young wife, and their daughter, a child of 7 months. But my nephew and his wife after a short time crossed the sea to the Crimea to join Wrangel and his army, leaving their child in my care. There they disappeared. I never heard from them again, but I went on living in Constantinople for a long time, only by hard daily drudgery, just enough for the child and myself. Later on, like so many others, I wandered endlessly from place to place: Bulgaria, Serbia, Czechoslovakia, Belgium, Paris, Nice. The girl grew up long ago, settled in Paris, turned into the model French woman, very charming and quite indifferent to me. Found work in a chocolate shop near the Madeleine, with her smooth manicured fingers tipped by silvery polished nails. She wrapped up little boxes in sailing paper, tinting them with fine gold string. But I lived and still live in Nice, from what God provides. I was in Nice for the first time in the 1912, and I could link it with those happy days which it had given to me before. So I survived his death, though at one time I rashly exclaimed that I would never survive him. But when I recall all that I have been through since then, I often ask myself, well, and after all, what has really happened in my life? And I answer myself, nothing but that one cold autumn evening. Can it be that it once existed? Yes, it really happened. And that is all that really happened in my life. Everything else is just a meaningless dream. But I have faith, ardent faith, that somewhere he's still waiting for me with the same love and freshness as one that evening. You should leave, find joy on earth, then come to me. I lived, found joy. Now I shall soon go to him.